Hey, wrestling fans, welcome to the One Wing Wrestling Podcast, where we help you navigate the complex world of pro wrestling, bring you the best matches, world class wrestlers, and news you can count on. At One Wing Wrestling, we bring the elite to you. I'm your host, Krishna, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Bill Cutbush. Bill, how's it going?
Well, I'm going really well. I had what I would call a decent day. It was not such a great day for the wrestling world. And I think
Correct.
that we should probably start by addressing that quickly off the top. Christian and I would both like to pass along our condolences to the family of Jay Briscoe, who unfortunately passed away yesterday evening in a car accident. It was apparently a head-on collision between two Chevy Silverados. Both drivers were pronounced dead on the scene. The other truck apparently crossed into Jay's lane. He was only 38 years old. His daughters were in the car, and both are in the hospital. One is in stable condition. The other one, according to Dave Meltzer, I believe, is currently undergoing back surgery. Um, in critical condition. So, we send our thoughts and our prayers to his family and condolences for the passing of Jay Briscoe, taken way too young. Just an absolutely phenomenal talent. I remember seeing him in September 2014 when Ring of Honor came to Toronto, and I watched their match, and it was just incredible. It was one of the first times I ever saw a table shattered like 3 feet in front of me. It was like they put on such a great show. I loved their match. I love that event was the one that got me into wrestling outside the WWE in a big way, introduced me to the Briscoes, introduced me to the Young Bucks, all that, right? It was just such a pivotal moment in my wrestling career, and Jay Briscoe was one of the people that I can thank for that. So to see him taken like that is tragic, to say the least.
Yeah, no, this is a dark day, I should say, in the wrestling world, and just first and foremost, obviously, thoughts and prayers go out to Jay Briscoe, and obviously, like condolences to his family. Hopefully, his daughters get well. They're very young, from what I understand, so hopefully they get better. Yeah, tragic. Like this is in no way a fault of his in any way, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
having another car go into your lane, head-on collision is absolutely crazy. So obviously it's a sad time. Like I mean, I was reading all of the tributes from all the
Mm-hmm.
wrestlers around the globe, well, not only wrestlers, but basically everyone in the wrestling industry. And the one common thing they kept saying was, he carried himself in a certain way where he was like one of the nicest people. Not only him and his brother, one of the
Mm-hmm.
nicest people you could ever meet. And even though they looked different, right? They
Mm-hmm.
they carried themselves differently. Like they were, soft spoken. They really loved the sport, um, and they just wanted to learn and so forth. Like I mean, obviously, um, there's been controversy and stuff like that. That all that stuff aside, like I'm kind of upset that we never got to see Jay wrestle on AEW, right? And regardless, AEW owns ROH and everything that there was a bit of controversy that you know they weren't allowed on TV, but
Mm-hmm.
and that's one regret I'm gonna have. Like actually he wasn't able to ever wrestle on AEW. So, it's such a crazy thing that happened. Like it was all over the news. Like after you
Mm-hmm.
told me, all over the news, and obviously people trying to figure out what happened. But most importantly, just shock, utter shock. I
Mm-hmm.
was seeing from the wrestling world, right? So yeah, again, thoughts and prayers out to his family. Hopefully those girls get better, and yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his daughters are only 9 and 12.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and
That's
and yeah, it's a shock. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just it's one of those tragedies that just happens. I mean, I think the one thing we can all pull from this is you just never know. And,
yep,
make sure that every day, you know, make sure the people that you love know that you love them, because you just never ever know what's going to happen on any
yeah,
given day.
yeah. Such a terrible loss, just in general, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, it's
Absolutely.
yeah.
But one of the things that Jay Briscoe did love, and the one thing I heard a lot of the AEW guys talk about was, how good he was as a wrestler, the
Hmm.
matches that he had with them, and that kind of stuff. And hopefully tonight's AEW can be some kind of, tribute
Tribute.
to
Agreed.
amazing professional wrestling by a bunch of guys that worked with him, wrestled him, knew him.
Yep.
And I think that'll be pretty good if we can get to that. So,
Yep. Agreed.
yep. So we do have a Dynamite show tonight to discuss, and what we generally do here on One Winged Wrestling on these Wednesday nights is we look at the card, we predict it, we talk about the matches, what we're excited for, what we're not, what we think the outcome's going to be. Then we go away, we watch the show, we come back and we review it, and we see where we right, where we wrong, what did we actually think of the matches, and most importantly, did the Dynamite reach that all important Omega level? And also, most importantly, if you've been listening to the show a while, you like what you hear, you are entertained by what we bring you, by all means, give us that 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. Write us a quick little review. Give us the thumbs up there on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. There's bigger things coming in the future. So, jump on board now. It'll be good times. So we do have an episode of Dynamite. We got some matches. Shall we get right into them, Krishna?
Let's get into it.
Okay. Well, we have had an awful lot of wrestling recently on AEW. It was AEW talking there for a few weeks. This week we seem to have a lot more wrestling. So once again, they got a lot to live up to now that the best of 7 is out, and we open up with Hangman Page speaking with Renee Paquette.
I love Hangman, so this is like anytime I hear him talk, I think he's so great, just the character he is, because he's the one character where I keep saying, even if he's bad, people are gonna cheer him. Just because he just seems like a genuinely great guy. Like after the knockout of Mox last week, the way they're trading that, it's gonna be a very interesting conversation. I actually hope that Renee gets to play a part in this, like a big part in terms of like, you knocked out my husband. Like, how do you feel? And I kind of feel like Hangman's going to be very apologetic in this interview, or they can go the opposite way, and Mox is back. And Mox just keep going, because who knows when Mox is ever going to take that vacation, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm interested to see what direction Tony Khan takes for Hangman right now.
Yeah, no, me too. I think it'll be an interesting chat. We'll see what happens. I really don't think I don't think Renee's going to get involved from a character standpoint. So I think it's,
Mhm.
if anything is mentioned, it'll be like last time where Hangman says something and he's like, "No, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." Like, you're right. He's like the nicest guy in
Mhm.
wrestling, right? So I think that he's just going to be, hey, I gave him what he gave me. If he couldn't get, well, that's just how it goes, right? Um, I suspect there will be more matches to come.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I think he apologizes to Renee. I think
Mhm.
that's what he's gonna do.
Quite possibly. Speaking of Renee Paquette had a particular guest yesterday on her podcast, one Will Osprey. We will be discussing that episode on our weekly program coming up Monday. I will say
Sweet.
for now, and just a little alert to you, Krishna, he had some interesting things to say about one John Moxley.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm interested. I'll be listening to this shortly.
Absolutely. So yes, and those of you who haven't checked it out, it's Renee Paquette's podcast, The Sessions, if you want to listen to that before Krishna and I discuss it on Monday. So next up on tonight's episode, we have Willow Nightingale taking on Toni Storm.
So, I don't dislike Willow. I think she has a great personality, and for her wrestling style, it is, it's good. No, it's good. It's good.
Mhm.
Toni Storm, she can be good as well. It depends on what character she comes out and plays at certain points. But the problem is that for the past couple matches, like let's go back to that, like, the tag team match on Rampage.
Mhm.
Um, Willow wasn't really one of the biggest highlights of that match,
Mhm.
right? Out of the 4 women that were there, she's probably number 4 out of the 4 women there,
Right.
right?
I would agree.
And Toni Storm, as we as we've said, we're not the biggest fans of Toni Storm, but that's because we just don't understand the praise of Toni Storm. Like, nothing
Mhm.
against her as a person, we just don't understand the praise that she's an elite wrestler, and that's what we haven't seen. So this
Mhm.
match concerns me because I'm like, I don't see how this can come out to be an, you know, a very very good match.
Mhm.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm really wrong, but I don't know. I don't think. I think I'm looking at the card, and yeah, I easily can say this is going to be the out of the, what is it, 5 6 matches,
Yep.
6 matches today, it's gonna be number 6, right, out of 6. So I'm
Right.
hoping for
I
better, but
think
I don't know.
it could be number 5, and I'll get to that in a bit, but it could
Mhm.
also be number 6.
Yeah.
I agree with you insofar as both of these wrestlers, Toni Storm, when she does her hitting,
Mhm.
she looks good.
Yeah.
Like she's got a good hard hitting style. It's when she starts getting into her like 5 moves of doom set. I think that I don't know, like I've said this before, I'll say it again. She's just breaking out of having to wrestle in the WWE for a few years, and slowly but surely she'll get her wheels back under her. I'm hopeful.
It
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and getting rid of that finisher would be a long way to go, or making it look better than it currently does. Like I saw someone on Stardom yesterday just destroyed by a tombstone pile driver, and I'm like, yeah, no. Every time I see that, I'm like, oh, Tony, 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 Tony. Um, but yeah, other than that, do I think it's going to be an okay match? I don't think it's going to suck.
No.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to be great. I mean, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, solid C plus. Go guys. Then we have Jake Hager taking on Ricky Starks.
Yeah. This is a very interesting match because I don't know how good it's gonna be, right? Because depending on what's gonna happen with obviously interference and so forth, right? Because Hager, it's JS versus Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is really good. Jake Hager put in the right position is also very good. So this match has potential. But if I'm looking at this card tonight, like I'm gonna like this can either be 4 or it can be 5, and I don't know what to put it at. But you know what? I'm going to put it at number 5 for the night. I'm going to leave it at number 5,
Okay.
based on like just the other wrestlers on the card, just based on them. Now, storyline stuff like that some other matches might have ridiculousness happen there as well, but I'm going to say this match is going to be good.
Hmm.
But out of 5, it's out of 6, it's going to be 5 out of 6.
Yeah. This is the match I think that if Willow Nightingale and Toni
Mhm.
Storm, who by the way I think Toni Storm's winning that match,
Mhm.
Willow Nightingale and Toni Storm, do really well. Like they put on sort of like a top level performance from them,
Yeah,
they could beat the Hager Starks match.
exactly. Exactly.
Um, because this to me is 5, possibly 6, and that's not.
Mhm.
And again, this isn't to
Not
say I
bad.
think this
No.
match is going to be bad. I mean, we
Mhm.
are getting spoiled these days
We
with the
are.
cards AEW is putting it. They finally figured it out. You guys are the wrestling company,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you're not like New Japan where wrestling is everything, but you're the wrestling company, right? And you're finally giving us all elite wrestling again, and this
Yeah.
is great. And this match, yeah, I mean, it could be good. Jake Hager, he knows his role and he knows how to play it well. Ricky Starks, he's got some good energy and stuff in the ring. We
Mhm.
shall see. Am I super hyped for this match? Not really. I see it more as a stepping stone for Starks to get to Jericho. But
Yeah.
hey, it'll be fine. It's a match. They can fill some space with it. It'll give us some downs between the ups of some of these other matches. So, yeah, because I mean, now we got 4 matches to go through that are kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I'll start with the TNT Championship match. Darby Allin, the champion, taking on Kushida.
So I've never seen Kushida wrestle, and here it is, right? Like this is where I may mess up in my order, in terms of like what best to worst, I guess, or not. It's not even worse. It's like just based on the matches here. Um, Darby Allin, I love Darby Allin. This guy, like that's just the way he he doesn't care for his body, and he apparently doesn't want to wrestle for like until he's like 30. He's given up. Apparently, he's like he's only 20 something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's given up.
yeah.
When he's 30, he's done. Yeah. So Darby Allin, he's giving everything into these matches. He's like, and he's such a fun. You're right. He's such a fun champion to cheer for because he's so nuts. And that's without Sting. He doesn't need Sting
Mhm,
there, right?
exactly.
So I think this match is going to be good. But I'm looking at the other matches. Now, this is either going to be number 3 or number 4 for me. And that's tough because, oh man, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna, say this is gonna be number 4. I'm gonna put this in the number 4 position, though it might challenge for number 3. And yeah, no, this is gonna be a good match. And I'm really going back and forth 3 or 4, but I'm gonna stick with number 4.
I again, your placement, I'm down with your placement. I love Kushida.
Mhm.
Okay. He was unfortunately, as usual, misused on NXT when he got there. He had an injury for quite a while this year. He was supposed to be part of that fatal 4-way for the junior heavyweight title at
Oh
um,
yes,
Master
yes,
Wato
you're right.
replaced him in
Mhm.
that match and in
And
the
he
lead up
and
to the
Waddle
match.
was awesome. Waddle was awesome.
Yes,
Sorry
Wato
about
was awesome.
that.
And Kushida he's a little older now, but very good wrestler. I've seen him wrestle a number of times. So I'm looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be
Mhm.
very good. I think getting a guy like Kushida up against Darby Allin, you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Mhm.
That's my prediction. Is you're going to come out of this, you're going to come back after this, and you'll be like, "Damn, that Kushida's good."
Mhm.
So yeah, I am looking forward to this match, but I don't disagree with your placement.
Okay.
This has a potential to steal third
Mhm.
because I think the next match we're going to talk about may have shenanigans, and this
Yes.
match, I think Kushida and Darby, I think this is just going to be a straight up match.
Yeah.
So between two
Yeah.
guys who respect each other, and I think it's going to be great. And I
Yeah.
love matches like that. So I don't need a story for a match like this. Just give me all the wrestling. But next up, we have a match that does have some story in it. Orange Cassidy, the champion, the all AEW All Atlantic champion, taking on Jay Lethal for the title.
This is the confusing match, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
this could be a solid number 3 on this card based on everything. This
Mm-hmm.
this potentially, if because of these two guys, could even go up to number 2, right? It can knock down like one of the other two matches down a notch because these guys are just that good. Jay Lethal, like this guy is so good, but he's so underutilized. Like, why are
Mm-hmm.
you part of this stupid team? Is it
Yep.
because they just can't find like your character? Like, and the thing is, his character is so big, but it just doesn't really click, right? There's something
Mm-hmm.
missing, and I just don't know what it is. But putting it with these other idiots, like, come on, man, you're better than this. But again, Jay Lethal versus obviously Orange Cassidy. I asked for this. Remember, I said to give me
Mm-hmm.
more Jay Lethal versus Orange Cassidy.
Yep.
These guys can go, and I love the way they wrestle. I think this is going to be this can either be a really 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 good match, or depending on the shenanigans, it can just plummet on the list. Like depending on what happens today, it can just absolutely plummet. But I'm looking for a really good showing, so I'll leave it at number 3. Either I'm going to be satisfied with where I'm leaving it, or overly satisfied, be like, oh my god, I should have rated higher, or utterly disappointed.
Again, you're just echoing my brain because the shenanigans could ruin this match. But
Yeah,
this match, these two guys are amazing, amazing. So, and it's funny that we're like, and that will put them in the number 3 spot with
I know.
maybe a slim potential to take 2, right? But I got to pause for a moment. Yesterday, I got my first All Elite crate
Oh, nice.
from
Okay, okay,
Pro
okay.
Wrestling Tees from the AEW shop there because they had a big sale on them at the end of the year, and I picked up a subscription to them just for fun. Um, there were items in it. The shirts. Now, do you think they went the route of, and I'll get to why I came up with this in the Orange Cassidy and the Jay Lethal match in a minute because it is
Mhm.
relevant. Do you think they went the route of just getting away shirts that they don't really need, or do you think they went with popular, or how do you think they would do
I wouldn't be shocked, and I haven't seen these shirts.
it? Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be shocked if you got either a Satnam Singh, a Sanjay Dutt,
Mm-hmm.
or a Jeff Jarrett t-shirts. I would not be surprised. So I'm going down the
Yeah.
route of not popular
Okay. I got 2,
undercard.
and I would wear them both. They are not Sanjay Dutt. They are not Sanjay. I was like, one was FTR.
Okay, okay, awesome.
Yep. The other one was Blackpool Combat Club.
What? Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Now, the reason why I mentioned it is because the signed 8x10 I got in it was Jay Lethal,
Oh,
which is
that's
also
awesome.
pretty damn cool.
Yeah, Jay
Yeah.
Lethal's cool. Yeah.
And a pair of Orange Cassidy socks, which is also awesome.
If you were
So,
gonna get Orange Cassidy merchandise, socks are pretty
by the
cool.
way, Ariana has a little gift coming for her. So
Oh, nice.
yes, she's
Awesome.
going to get a sticker set.
She's
They,
gonna love it. Though Ellie's really big on stickers,
oh
so
well, they can share it. They can share it because they will love the Acclaimed.
oh well, they yeah, they would love the
They will
Acclaimed.
love the Acclaimed, yes, because they can have my Acclaimed sticker set.
You sure you don't want it? You can put it on your laptop or something and stuff
No,
like
man,
that,
I'm good. I'm good. They can
Okay.
totally have the Acclaimed sticker set, but I will also keep the luggage tag I got because it's a pretty heavy duty, cool luggage tag. So
Nice. Nice. Okay.
anyway, so yeah, I really enjoyed the crate and I got some good stuff out of it. But the
Awesome.
Orange Cassidy Jay Lethal match reminded me of that. But I will quite happily wear my new FTR and my new Blackpool Combat Club shirts. So
Yeah, those are cool.
yep, we'll see what I get in what is it, 3 months? Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. So I'll be back with another update on these crates in 3 months. Anyway, on to the next match. The next match, we have Bryan Danielson in his second match to get at the most boring champion in AEW history, MJF himself. And all the matches Bryan Danielson's going to have leading up to this 60-minute snooze fest at the end of,
I
although I don't think
know.
Bryan Danielson could put on a snooze fest, but it's
He'll
really
carry
going
the
to
60
test the
minutes, yeah.
endurance of every AEW fan in history when they go 60 minutes at the end of one of their pay-per-views, and one of the two guys in the match is MJF. Anyway, Bryan Danielson taking on Bandido.
This can be an awesome match. I never got obviously the Bryan Danielson we're getting here in WWE, even though I loved it. I loved Daniel Bryan in WWE, right?
Mhm.
So having him come over and I was like, am I really gonna like him in AEW? Though again, I was a huge fan and I popped when he showed up.
Oh yeah, you were hyped.
Yeah, the wrestling we've gotten from this guy is like, do you care about your body? Did you not break your neck? What the hell is wrong with you? Anyways, so I'm hoping. No, I'm sorry, I'm not hoping. Like Danielson versus Bandido. Bandido is so cool. Like
Mhm.
he's such a good wrestler. This is gonna be an awesome match. Awesome match. I think again last week when Takeshita faced Danielson, I don't know if we're gonna get a match that good, but Bandido's pretty damn good, right? He's pretty damn good. So I'm like, wow, like Takeshita, now Bandido, like these matches are just absolute like amazing matches. And on any nights, like again, any week, these can be top matches. Last week you gave it your match of the week, right?
Mhm.
Was it?
No, I
No,
didn't.
you
I
almost did,
didn't quite.
almost did,
It was
almost did,
almost. It was like the one day
almost.
I was
Yeah,
really considering it.
almost did. And if you had said it was, I'd be like, yeah, I can't disagree with you. I think it was amazing. Same thing. I think this match is gonna be awesome. But I was going back and forth. I'm like, is this gonna be number one? Is it gonna be number two? And I'm gonna stick to my guns and put it at number two because I don't bet against some other people here.
Yeah, we
So
don't bet
number
against
two.
the elite. Yes. I'm also going to make it number two because I don't think Bandido's as good as Takeshita. I
No,
love Bandido. He's
yeah,
not Konosuke Takeshita.
no,
Okay.
no.
Takeshita might be one of the best talents we've seen show up in a very long time. He has like Okada potential. Um
So speaking of Takeshita for a second, like okay, so you know how Don Callis is like so I think in real life Don Callis is actually trying to transition him to the US. Like I think that's actually really what's happening
quite possibly.
because they had the picture of them at Pro Wrestling Guerrilla,
Mhm.
the Battle of Los Angeles, and then just on if you watch Being the Elite, there's
Mhm.
one point where I think Matt or Nick they're in their private box at the LA Clippers game, and they're like, look, it's Callis and Takeshita, and you actually see Don Callis and Takeshita in Clippers jerseys walking down to
Oh
find their
yeah.
seats, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe Don Callis is really kind of like the connection to bring Takeshita in and take care of him, make sure he's okay in the US. Like I think that's what maybe it is. But Takesha's been in the US for like
Yeah, he hasn't lived.
he
He's
hasn't
now
lived
he's
here.
making his residence here now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
So
maybe I think that's what it is. But if not, this is awesome that they're playing
well,
this into
it
being
is
the
because
elite.
there was also that Insta was it an Instagram post and Callus just put on it, Takeshita, you could be here too if you wanted to. And it was like him with Omega or something like that. So
Oh, when Takeshita joins the elite, oh my god, it's gonna be absolutely awesome. Or they keep him babyface and maybe he fights the elite, which
either
is
way,
either
it's a
way, it's gonna be
win.
awesome. It's so awesome.
I
Yeah,
know. No,
sorry,
Takeshi's
but
amazing.
Takeshita, yeah.
Yes, but to flip back to Danielson and Bandido, no, I'm this match though is going to be outstanding. I mean, Bryan Danielson, like we've said before, he has an award named after him. So
It's true.
there is the Bryan Danielson Award for Best Technical Wrestler, and he's fighting Bandido,
Yep.
and it's going to be amazing. If you really want to talk about guys though who don't care about their bodies, another quick segue. I've been reading the Mox book, as you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, there is the story. You want to see a guy who doesn't care about his body? John Moxley. Um,
Whoa, big
I
surprise
know he was talking
there.
about his time in CZW,
Hmm.
and there was one incident where they were at the I believe it was the Tournament of Death, which is all death matches, and Nick Gage was in the main event. Not like Mox had already fought, so Mox
Hmm.
was like shirtless and like in his shorts kind of thing. But then Nick Gage took the glass because the apparently the ring, all the ropes had light tubes attached to them.
Hmm.
So he got thrown into it, and one of the light tubes went up into his armpit and severed the artery or the veins there, and he had to immediately stop wrestling. And his
Hmm.
opponent was left in the ring going, "Now what do I do?" So
Oh
Moxley actually
shoot.
ran out and took over the match.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, except he got in and got immediately flattened, but he wasn't thinking, as he said, because the entire floor of the mat was just covered in broken glass, the whole floor of the mat, and he was only wearing shorts and immediately took a bump into the glass and was like, what did I just do?
Oh no.
So yeah, he said he was picking small pieces of glass out of his skin for a good 24 hours after that
Jeez
match.
Christ, John Moxley. And thing is, like, you look at those things and you're like, I kind of see maybe where that substance abuse came in, and I'm so happy you're out of that now. And
Oh,
but
his
you just
his his substance use was something else.
right, and then you look at you're like, please don't hurt yourself with this anymore. It's not needed anymore, Mox. Like we
Yeah,
don't we
exactly.
like just do what you're doing right now. It's
Yeah.
it's more than good, like good
We
enough.
like you how you are now, Mox. You don't need to
Yes.
be deathmatch
No,
guy anymore.
no, no, definitely don't.
Yes. Awesome. Anyway, after that segue, we now return to this card again. Um, so next up, man, the last match of the night, which should be the main event,
It
but it
should be the
won't
main
be.
event. Yeah.
We have the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson, taking on Top Flight, Darius and Damien.
Dante.
I can never get there. I almost said Darius Gasparitis again. Darius and Dante Martin.
I love the push that Top Flight's been getting, right? Remember, I think last week I had said,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that I wanted Top Flight back until Darius came back,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's been injured so many times. And of course, the last injury, car accident. Thank God he's okay. Um, uh, uh, it wasn't his fault again, right? And
Right.
he unfortunately had to be out for months, right? Almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
So him back, getting these bumps, wrestling the way he's wrestling, almost like he didn't even miss a step.
Yeah.
It's so impressive. Having these two guys go up against the Bucks. Listen, AEW, if you want to give the belts to somebody, the actual tag belts, give it to these two guys. Give it
Mm-hmm.
to Top Flight. They're young, talented individuals. They sell so well. Holy cow, they can sell. And their moves are so fluid. You barely see any botch, and any botch, you're kind of like, wait, was it their fault or someone else's
Yeah,
fault? Right?
their timing is
They're
bang
so
on.
good.
Yeah, they're just so good.
Their tag team like moves they do, I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this match is gonna be like, if not on the elite level, or sorry, the omega level. I can't see it not being there unless something totally wrong happens.
Right.
And the Bucks, come on,
Yeah.
it's the Young Bucks. Like, what else could do? I don't even need to say anything.
Who's winning?
The- so it's not a title match.
Well, neither one
And
of them has titles.
no, no, but I mean, like, the trios, you know what I mean? Like the trios versus
Yes, yeah.
right. That's what I mean.
Right,
Like
right.
it's not a title match with trios because Kenny's not there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'll tell you who I think is going to win versus who. Actually, no. You know what? I'm going on a limb here. I think Top Flight's winning this match. I
Mm-hmm.
think this match is going on first. I think Top Flight's going to win the match.
I think the match is getting the 9 o'clock spot,
Oh no.
and I think Top Flight is winning the match. And
Oh.
here's why.
Okay.
We're going to go into some booking here now for a minute,
Okay. I want to
because
hear. I
I
want to hear this
think that
booking.
they really want Top Flight to challenge for those trios titles against the Elite And their partner is going to be Konosuke Takeshita.
No way. No way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we'll see Konosuke Takeshita turn on Top Flight.
I'm not saying this in a negative way as like it's unbelievable. It's like I'm saying you're wrong. I'm saying in an unbelievable way. I'm like, no way that was gonna happen. Like, yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see Takeshita team up with Top Flight and that booking of Takeshita turning on them to make them lose the trios, joining the elite. Whew, that oh my god, that would be epic.
Yep. Or on the flip side, the elite's trying to convince him to join. He won't, and he stands with Top Flight.
Top Flight.
Yeah,
Well,
that would also work.
if you want like three young baby faces that everyone loves. Everyone loves Takeshita.
They would be like an ultimate team.
They
Seriously,
would.
you put
They would.
Takeshita with those two guys,
Yeah.
and I mean they're unstoppable.
Look at it this way. No, everyone loves the elite. Everyone loves the acclaimed, and everyone loves Top Flight because they're so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, and the proof of everyone loving Takeshita is even though is proof last week when MJF got that stupid promo and tried to be like the old timer heel. Let's be a little racist. Everyone went absolutely insane.
Right.
And to me, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. That should not be here. Like MJF, come on, get some better stuff. But you saw the love for this guy who just recently signed, had some matches. And it's there. Tony Khan has to be seeing this. Has to be seeing this.
And keep in mind, he had a match against Bryan Danielson, who was fighting to get his shot at MJF. And the crowd in large parts of that match was still behind Konosuke Takeshita, right? Like, it's just crazy how over this guy is getting with the crowd.
So good.
And yeah, I mean, hopefully they will not, Wardlow him or something like that. But yeah, I mean, he's just an absolutely phenomenal talent. Shoot him to the moon. End of story. He's got the talent. He's got the ability. Shoot him to the moon. This, for me, will be match of the night. No doubt, even though we keep talking about Konosuke Takeshita. But Top Flight are absolutely amazing. The Young Bucks are the best tag team ever to walk the face of the planet, bar none.
Yeah.
This match is going to absolutely kick ass. It's going to be hard for Danielson and Bandido to catch up to it. Don't bet against the elite. This is going to be a hell of a night. Way to bring us back after the best of 7 is over.
Yeah, a nice little like break here. I guess they must have given Kenny the week off because the Bucks had the week off when he was wrestling in Japan. So I think this is actually pretty. This is great booking by Tony Khan. Remember, we always complain, oh, if Kenny wasn't there, the elite aren't there. Like, come on, but like the Bucks are a tag team. We need to remember this, right?
Well, and here's the other question: where's Adam Cole? Where's House of Black? Which we say every week. House of Black, the team that is now on elevation. There just seem to be some pieces missing here. So yeah, I can probably think of some more if you give me a minute. But yeah. Anyway, I guess we will see what happens. But
it seems like we're gonna have this is a good show that's booked by Tony Khan. And yeah, I'm very there's a lot of variables in here that potentially can or can't or won't happen today. But regardless, if nothing happens, if the card stays exactly the way it is, nothing, it's still an amazing card that we're getting tonight.
Damn straight. So what do you say we go watch this card?
Let's do this.
Okay. And as always, we will be back. And that was Dynamite. And Dynamite tonight came to us from Fresno, California at the Save Mart Center. We had Excalibur, Toni, and Taz on commentary, and they showed Jay Briscoe right off the top in a graphic. And I just wanted to mention, Excalibur mentioned him in the first match. He noted it was a tough night for all the wrestlers, that their thoughts and prayers go out to Jay's family and friends. Later, Excalibur was talking about all the times the Bucks and the Briscoes met in the ring during the Bucks match. We saw many wrestlers wearing armbands: Jay Lethal, Nick Jackson, Bryan Danielson, Bandido. And they went off the air saying, Jay Briscoe, you are in our hearts and minds. I thought it was a really classy way for them to handle the entire, passing of Jay Briscoe. And kudos to AEW for that. What did you think?
No, I think it was good. right at the beginning, there's a graphic, obviously, for Jay. Excalibur mentions it that we're right at the beginning. Most of the wrestlers were wearing like armbands, something for Jay, and then as I said, they ended it. Like even with the Unbucks doing the Briscoe's finishing move, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was classy. So yeah, that good tribute show for Jay.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I really liked that. So we open it off with the AEW All Atlantic Championship match. We had Orange Cassidy facing Jay Lethal, and it was noted before this match that if anyone interferes in this match in any way, Sanjay Dutt is fired. Now, I immediately went, this is amazing. We're going to get no interference in the Orange Cassidy and Jay Lethal match. It will be hijinks free. Boy, was I wrong. Immediately, Jarrett and Satnam come down the steps from the crowd and join Sanjay, kicking apparently some fans out of their seats. So Cassidy and Lethal go back and forth early in the match until Jay decks Cassidy off the apron right in front of the gang. But then Danhausen comes down, checks the tickets, and then summons the best friends, who apparently also are now going to sit at ringside. During the distraction, Cassidy dives on Lethal, but back in the ring, Lethal quickly reverses Cassidy's DDT into a rope guillotine and goes to work on him, choking him, sending him outside, running him into the apron and then into the ring post, gets him back in the ring. He went for the top elbow drop, but Cassidy rolled away slowly from post to post as Lethal chased him from post to post around the ring. He even tried to get ahead of him at one point, but then he just ate a boot from Cassidy. Then Cassidy hits Lethal with the Stun Dog Millionaire and a float through DDT for 2. Cassidy climbs to the top, but Lethal counters with the Lethal Combination, but Cassidy dodges the follow-up Lethal Injection. Lethal counters the Orange Punch attempt then into a Fireman's Carry drop and the Lethal Injection, but Cassidy was too close to the edge and he rolls out of the ring. Chuck then dumps popcorn on Sanjay Dutt. Danhausen steals the guitar that the gang was trying to sneak in. He plays it for a moment and then runs away from Lethal. Lethal chases him, and as he runs into the ring, Cassidy rolls him up for 2, and on the kick out, Orange Cassidy nails the Orange Punch and gets the 3. I'll do the aftermatch fast too, because Satnam Singh runs into the ring, grabbing the best friends, but Dutt stops him because, he'll get fired. Jarrett runs in the ring with the guitar because apparently none of Sanjay Dutt's friends knew the stipulation. Dutt stops them. He then gets the soft kicks from Cassidy and gets mad himself, but Lethal gets them all out of the ring. And then my sound went all to hell on the Fight TV feed.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, it happened to everybody. It lasted till halfway through the Bucks match. It sounded like they were all like being wrestling in a deep fryer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
was
preferred.
it was it was pretty epic.
Yeah, I know TSN just has like a volume issue, like it's always such low volume, but besides that, the sound was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an odd match, right? Because that's such a stupid stipulation. I did like the stipulation. Sanjay Dutt would get fired if anyone interfered. I was like,
Yeah.
Sanjay, so why would you bring everyone down to the ring if you knew you would get fired if they interfered? Clearly, they're not your friends. They're not listening to you. The match itself, again, these two guys, they wrestle well together. They know like that. Like Jay, when he did that, like I love the lethal combination, but when he picked him up the fire crane and dropped him, I'm like, what's he doing? And then I realized, oh my god, he's setting him up for the lethal injection. Like that was a nice setup. I was like, I didn't expect that. Orange Cassidy just rolling around the ring.
Yeah, that was so
See,
good.
so he's never not in character.
Mhm.
Never not in character. And I'm sorry, I didn't mention this last weekend or this week in our recap, but Danhausen on Dark tried to eject. Was it Dark or? But anyways, Elevation. He tried to eject the referee from the match, and he realized that he couldn't. They're like, is Danhausen trying to eject the referee? It's like I get it. I totally get his character now.
Yeah.
And you know what? At first, I didn't really get Danhausen. I didn't understand what the fans liked about him.
Mhm.
And now I understand. It's just he's just totally ridiculous. And he fits in so well with Cassidy and the best friends. But the thing is
Mhm.
about this match, it's kind of like, you know, there was so much there's many things happening. You didn't really even get to see the match properly, right? That my only like downfall about this match is that there's so many things outside the ring that
Mhm.
took away from these two guys. You could have Cassidy versus fighting anybody else, but Lethal, you have to fight him, have him fight Lethal for this to happen around the ring. I wouldn't care if it was some other Joker or whatever. Like it would make sense, right? Like, hey, if he was
Mhm.
fighting Mark Sterling or who, not Mark Sterling, but like one of those guys,
Mark
Mark
Sterling.
Sterling, like, and having all the shenanigans, like that would make sense because you're
Yeah.
like, okay, it makes sense because it's all shenanigans. But this is what I'm talking about. Lethal doesn't belong in this group. He's like the outcast of this group, and his matches just suffer because it's everything that's happening outside that takes away from it, right? And listen, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I just hated the fact I didn't get enough of these two guys wrestling. That's what I didn't like about it, right? So yeah, I really wish it like again, I love the stipulation because it was so dumb, right? And anything
Mhm.
that gets Sanjay upset is all right with me. But the fact that it was just so focused on that and not the match is what really kind of took it away, right?
Yeah, it was
So
it
I
was
mean, yeah, it was like, okay, sure, whatever. I mean, I would prefer just a straight up match, but whatever.
where did it rank out of 6 for these 6 matches we saw tonight? Because you'd
So
said 5 out of
I said
6
five. I
before
said
going
five.
to 6.
You know what? And I'm gonna stick with five because I had a problem with the match I gave to number six. Now, when we get there, we'll talk about it. But I'm gonna
Okay.
leave it at five for now.
Okay. For me, it's
Okay.
6.
Okay.
Yep. This one came in 6 for all the reasons you gave, right? Yeah, it was kind of fun in places. I mean, it was very sports entertainment-y, and
Yes.
I prefer my wrestling as we will talk about later. Um, Very sports entertainment-y. Um, you know, there were some funny spots. I laughed. I was entertained. I didn't hate this,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I also didn't love
Mm-hmm.
this. And there
Mm-hmm.
was just a little too much interference going on. I mean,
Too much.
it
Yeah.
really made the guys that Sanjay Dutt hangs out with look like a bunch of colossal idiots. And you're absolutely right. Sanjay Dutt's a colossal idiot. Why wouldn't he say, okay,
Fuck
guys, we're
you
all just
guys.
going to sit back here in a back room and watch this on TV. And by the way, I'm going to put my chair in front of the door,
Yeah.
right?
Basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why doesn't he just do that so none of them can leave and no one interferes, right? It just, yeah, it made no sense that they went
No.
down to the ring at all and then give the best friends an opportunity to try to goad them into doing it
Yeah.
something, right? Like, yeah. And then Sanjay Dutt at the end actually getting in the ring and like looking like he's going to do something. And then all of the idiots lining up one by one to try to do something and Sanjay Dutt stopping them. I mean, they're
But
just,
that was the weird part because I was like, Sanjay Dutt would be fine if anyone interferes in the match,
yeah,
but the match is over.
yeah.
So why couldn't they interfere? Why couldn't they do anything then?
I don't know, maybe it meant like the whole
Oh, the entire
time
thing. Okay.
around the
All right.
match
All right.
too. I have no idea. That is also a very good logic point that seems to have been left out in this. But anyway, yes, not a terrible match, but certainly not a match I'm going to be writing home about anytime
Yeah.
soon. We get a video for Kushida and Darby Allin later on with a quick rundown of exactly who Kushida is. And then, to my surprise, we immediately go to the Young Bucks versus Top Flight.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, my Young Bucks entrance sounded like it was coming out of a deep fryer, which I was quite upset about this. Of all the things, like the sound, I can deal with it. I don't care. My
Yeah.
commentary is a little garbled, everything
Yeah.
else, I can handle that. But the Young Bucks entrance
I
sounding
know.
like they were coming out of a deep fryer, I was especially because all I've heard is Carry On Wayward
Yeah.
Son for weeks. I was finally getting the Young Bucks entrance and I didn't get the Young Bucks entrance. I
Oh.
got
Oh
like I
no.
could still understand everything the commentators were saying and stuff, but like it just sounded like they were talking inside a deep fryer. Anyway, Dante and Nick start off the match together, going back and forth. This was very fast paced until the Bucks take over with a combo to Darius and a backbreaker to Dante, allowing the Bucks to take control of the match for a bit. The Bucks definitely healed it up in this
Mm-hmm.
match, right? Especially here, you get the cocky pin, mocking Dante. Dante finally fights his way out by jumping over Matt, like doing a somersault flip over Matt. But Nick pulls Darius down off the apron. They keep double teaming Dante, including hitting risky business to him. Dante finally reverses the Bucks, hitting a double arm drag and a Hurricane Rana and making the hot tag to Darius. Darius goes nuts on Matt, including hitting a standing Spanish fly, jumping up right out of the Spanish fly and hitting a tope suicida to Nick on the outside. Then he immediately runs back to the apron and does a top rope cross body to Matt for 2. all in a
Yeah.
span of like a few seconds. It was crazy. The match speeds up at this point again with both making tags. The Bucks go for the Meltzer driver, but Darius pulls Nick off the apron and he hits a flatliner on Matt. Dante then hits Nick on the outside with a Tope Con Hero. They nail Matt with the powerbomb nosedive combo, but Nick gets in and just barely interrupts the cover. Nick then tags in, dumping Dante on the outside and nailing Darius with a Canadian Destroyer for a 2 count. This is when the Bucks then hit the Briscoes' doomsday
Hmm.
device, pointing to the heavens while they're doing it. It was a really cool moment, but Dante interrupts that pin. The Bucks then destroy Dante with super kicks in midair outside, but then when they go for the BTE trigger on Darius in the ring, he ducks and rolls up Matt for the 3 count.
Yeah, the right team won. I mean, we called it. We said that
Mm-hmm.
the right team was gonna win here. Like the Top Flight needed to win. You know what I realized about Top Flight, and I didn't even realize this before. You know when they make their entrance and they kind of like pose. I didn't realize that they were actually making the shape of an airplane. Is why they're doing that. Because if you look at what they're doing, Darius stands behind Dante like with his hand like kind of like in a weird shape, and Dante stands below him with his arms out. And I'm like, oh my god, I didn't realize that they're actually making the shape of a plane. That was kind of cool. I never
I had
noticed it.
no idea.
I never noticed it before, and I guess we never noticed it because we never really see them enter together a lot because there were
Mm-hmm.
a lot of injuries. But now we're seeing it. Um, yeah, these kids are so good. My God, and the Bucks like totally healing it up. Like they're trying to get these guys over, and heck, they were really over in this match too. So fast paced. I It does scare me the way that that they sell some of these moves because my God, when Nick kicked Darius inside the ring, I'm like, holy crap, he hit him right in the jaw. I'm like, did he knock him out? But like that's the way they sell. Like the selling is so spot on. Like this was such a fun, fun match. Like I totally like I thought like here's the worst part. I love this match. I thought it was so awesome, but I'm not even giving it the match of the night just because like it was so much fun. I enjoyed it so much, but like there were some matches on this night's card that any one of them could have been number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is is getting edged out because there were some matches tonight where I was like, wow, these guys are really impressing me, right? So
Yep.
awesome match, awesome match. I'm gonna I'm gonna put it in the two spot for now. But wow, I got exactly what I thought I was gonna get, which I think is what didn't take it over for me was because I was surprised with some other matches, right? Like the other matches are kind of like, yeah, they'll be good, but I was like, wow, those are actually really great. So I really, really, really enjoyed this match. I thought it was totally awesome. But yeah,
I enjoyed it. It was
yeah,
good.
not
It
my
was
match
really
of the
good.
night.
I would give this 4 stars. A
Okay,
good
so yeah,
4 star match. You
four
know, it was it
stars.
was it was solid. It was solid. They didn't hit the Meltzer driver, so you can't just get 5 stars. So you
Well,
know,
that's what I hear. If you don't hit the Melty driver, you don't get an actual 5-star rating. So
well, exactly. So they had to hit the Meltzer driver, which they didn't do. The right team won. I enjoyed this a lot. I had a good time watching
mhm,
this match.
mhm.
There were some really good moves in it. Um, it was a story of 2 high flying tag teams
Yeah,
going at it, right? I mean,
yeah,
there wasn't much backstory going in. They didn't tell much in-ring story beyond just the Bucks were the heels and
yep,
the top flight. So you didn't get a lot of that either, right? Like there wasn't the comeback was good, but it was kind of textbook.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
We saw it.
everything was spot on. The
Mhm,
spots were excellent. The wrestling was excellent. Um I wasn't moved like I was in other matches though. So this
mhm.
also does not get match of the night for me either. Really, I mean, 4 stars is nothing to sneeze at. That's a really
Exactly.
solid amount of stars from me. So yeah, really good match. It is my number 3 match
Oh, okay,
on the
okay.
night.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So yes, there are 2 better matches on the night for me than this, which is surprising considering I said this would probably be my match of the
Mhm.
night too. But I kind of knew when it came out in the second position that it was not going to be what we expect. Because you said you got what you expected. I didn't get what I expected. I expected more out of
Oh,
both of
okay,
these
okay.
teams. Right. That's the level that I hold the Bucks at. Right. I'm like, I want to be wow at every Bucks match. I want to be going, holy crap. This match I kind of went, oh, yeah, that was good. Good job,
Yeah.
guys. But they know how to bring the crowd down because then we bring out the guns. They say they made the Acclaimed popular, they made them champions, and then they gave them their dad, which I thought was the greatest line. And then they promised the Acclaimed will never embarrass us again because apparently we've now flipped over. You can see the then, now, forever on the bottom of the screen. The logo's now in the upper left, and we have gone full blown WWE sports entertainment, which means immediately the Acclaimed have to come out. And then, of course, they do. But then the Guns are, oh no, cut their music. So then Matt asks the crowd, do you guys want to hear the Guns or do you want to hear me rap? Okay, seriously, how come none of the above was not an option on this test? Because I was immediately going, neither. Can we just end the segment there? That would be really great. Thanks. But unfortunately, the crowd goes, we want to hear him. And the music starts up again, and Matt raps insulting the Guns. Then they fight in the ring, and then the Guns yell at their dad and they leave. And then Billy tells off everybody. Next week, we're getting family therapy. Yeah, that's just great. And I want to die.
Yeah, this segment, I was like, okay, sure. I guess this is what the fans want.
Is it though?
I
Is
don't know.
it?
I don't know, but there are a
They
lot of fans
want
in
a
there
family.
cheering.
Do they want a family therapy session? I mean, seriously.
Apparently
I
they
mean,
do.
do
Apparently
do
they
they
do.
though?
Austin and Colton Gunn just playing the you know the normal jackasses that they are, right? Like I mean they play that role so perfectly. That's why they're actually good at what they do. The problem with the Acclaimed is you don't know what they are, right? It's kind of like, okay, you guys are faces, but you're kind of heels sometimes because you're kind of with Billy Gunn. So it doesn't really make it though. So everything Austin Gunn was saying was is kind of true, right? They got them popular, like they wrote and stuff like that, and they sucked their dad. That's all valid. And I was like, okay, family therapy again. This is all I felt like this segment is Tony Khan borrowing from like Vince McMahon, right? Hey, Vince, what would Vince do in the segment? And I was like, okay, sure, someone wants this somewhere. Not me, but what are you doing with the tag belts? Like, why do you even have the tag belts? Right? Whatever. I don't know.
This is beyond stupid. You just watch the Young Bucks take on Top Flight, but the tag belts are on these two
Yeah,
morons.
yeah,
Seriously? Seriously? That's what we're doing in AEW with the once vaunted tag team division. And I'm not saying the tag teams in AEW suck, but what they're doing with the tag belts absolutely, utterly, completely sucks. This
yeah.
is terrible, terrible, terrible stuff. I mean,
Yep.
yeah. Look, I did a quick check. You're right. No one on Twitter, and that's not necessarily a perfect gauge of anything, a quick check. No one is talking about this segment being bad. So I guess people are up for a family therapy session. Power to them. There's something in AEW for everybody, even WWE fans.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Fair
there
enough.
you go. That's what you're getting. I can't wait to have to recap family therapy next week. Um, yeah. Anyway, moving on to better things. Hangman Page is in the back with Renee, and Renee asks him, how are you feeling after your match last week? And Page says, I feel fine. But after my first match, John took something from me. But after this match, I got my win back. Renee says, John said he both despises and cherishes you. And Paige goes, he said that? Well, after my first match, he put me to sleep and made a joke about it. So I told him I would knock him out cold if I had to beat him. And I did. So if he has something else to say about it, he can say that to my face, and I'd gladly do it again. And Renee says, so where do you go from here? Paige says, you reminded me of where I'd like to go. Some tough conversations I'd like to have, mend some fences that need mending. I'll just leave it at that. Oh, and how is John doing? And Renee says, well, he's been hurt for the last 10 years, so he'll dust himself off and get back up again. And Paige goes to tell her something as a message, changes his mind, says it was stupid, and that's the end of the segment. What'd you think?
Interesting. Hangman being Hangman as always, like the most likable person there. Like he explains why he fought Mox in the first place because Mox took his word away from him, so he got it back. I like that. That was kind of cool. He does ask obviously about how Mox is doing and stuff like that. I like Renee's response. He's been hurt for 10 years. So I like the fact I have a lot of things I need to things I have to mend, right? In terms of there's a lot of the hard conversations I have to have. Now, obviously, that's referring to the Bucks and so everything that's exactly what that is, the elite. But I took the last comment differently. I didn't take it as him asking her to pass the message on to Mox, because she's like, if you could pass, she goes, but there's someone you can pass the message on to, and he's like, never mind, right? And I was like, are you referring to Mox or are you referring to somebody else? Because that's what I had in my head. Who else could he be referring to? Right? Because like I have an idea, but and he's like, never mind, it's stupid. And I'm thinking to myself, this has to be a play on people Renee has been interviewing. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna poke anything. I'm not gonna say anything. Remember, Renee has her podcast. That's apparent. Everyone knows about that. She can pass messages on to people. Just saying, this could be anybody. So I'm very, very interested where this goes. I'm loving the fact I really do want, you know, the elites and Hangman to get past their whatever they went through. It's about time, as Hangman said. But yeah, I'm very intrigued at what's gonna happen next here.
Yeah, I don't know what Hangman has to say to Saraya though.
Maybe he wants to say, "Hey, Saraya, like, how do you come out and do nothing every week, right? And think that you've done something."
Well, we'll talk about that when we get to her match. The yeah, no, you could be right, but I still am pretty sure that if he's talking to, I mean, I see where you're going with that, but I still think he's referring to Mox.
Because he kind of said, because remember in his response he did say, Mox, and if you have anything to say to me or anything that you know where to find me, and then he made the
Right.
comment
Well, he may have
after.
wanted a different message. Yeah, you could be right too, though, right? I hadn't thought of it from your direction. It is interesting, and
The way
I
he
wonder what
stated
he's driving at. I'm
it.
intrigued as to where this is going. So, you've got the reconciling with the elite thing he may
Mm-hmm.
try, and is that
Mm-hmm.
going to go anywhere,
Yep.
or are we going to end up with more matches? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what's going to happen with this whole message thing? What is it he
Yeah.
wanted to say? So,
Yep.
yeah, I like it. I like it. It was good stuff. And then we get Jake Hager taking on Ricky Starks. Hager, of course, comes down to the ring with half the wall with Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker. Hager charges Starks right out of the gate, taking it to him, while Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker are just screaming at Starks from ringside constantly. That was pretty funny. Starks reverses him in the corner, though, steals his hat, but then gets caught showboating. I loved this spot because, my God, it's about time someone doing this rope walk while the guy's just looking at them, like, gets caught and slammed. I'm
Yep.
like, good job, Hager. Good job. Then he eats a big boot on the floor where Hager and the JAS beat him down. Hager continues the beatdown in the ring while 2.0 sets up a table. After the table was set up, the crowd begins a very loud "We want tables" chant. Starks finally reverses a haymaker in the corner and unloads on Hager, throwing him out of the ring, drop kicking him and taking out the JAS. I'd like to point out he did not throw him into the table. He hits a springboard crossbody, lariat, and a springboard DDT for 2. The JAS then tries to distract Starks, but Hager ends up accidentally hitting Angelo Parker, which allows Starks to nail the spear for 3. He bails immediately to the crowd after the match as the rest of the JAS shows up. And the table sits quite comfortably untouched
Yeah,
outside the
nothing
ring.
happened to that table. It was I'm like, oh wow. I'm like, nothing happened because you really has had Angelo Parker kind of slide across the table. The table kind of just collapsed under him. So you're like, oh, nothing happened there. The match itself, like, yeah, you're right. Like, as I said, like Ricky's really good. Jake is good. And Jake, like you're right, pulling him off of the rope and everything like that, like totally powerhousing him through the entire match. The match itself wasn't extremely long. We got the interference, like the generic, not generic, but the normal interference we would have expected. Kind of wondering why Sammy and Garcia waited in the back room until the match is finished. Didn't really make any sense. But
They were having a
anyways,
powwow
regardless.
training session backstage.
Whatever. I guess. This match was still stuck in the number 4 spot because I was like, yeah, sure. It wasn't as you know, it wasn't like the Cassidy match where it was like non-stop. Like let's focus on people outside the ring, not what's going on inside, right? Had that been reversed, had we focused a lot more in the Cassidy match, inside the ring, it would have easily been better than this match, easily. But we didn't, so I'm gonna have to say this match was good. Obviously, like they're trying to build up Ricky Starks to be the big baby face that he is. I love when he goes to the crowd and they're all like just cheering with him. And he's doing, anyways. It's just he's doing so many just like baby face stuff. That's I guess that's who he is now. So yeah, I didn't mind this match. I thought it was good. I thought it was, but yeah, my number 4 spot, like, easily.
Number 4.
Mhm.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Yeah, for me it's the number 5
5
spot.
spot.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So yes, we're obviously going to have a conversation about another match in a little bit. So yeah, for me it was the number 5 spot. Now, and for all the reasons you said, it was solid. I mean, it was fine. I liked Hager pulling him off the ropes too. That was pretty great. Yeah, I mean, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Right. Starks was good, but he wasn't great. Hager was his usual self. The JAS was their usual selves. I thought it was kind of funny. We had a table that didn't break. So
Yep.
yeah, set up the table and
Nothing
it's
happened.
saved. Okay, that's fine. We get a really quick Adam Cole video that talks about his
Mhm.
comeback. You know, he's been picturing his comeback for 6 months. They show footage of last week. That's about it. Um, and don't you love sheets of paper? I know I do. Then we get Jericho, Garcia, and Guevara backstage with Toni, and Jericho says Starks is annoying, basically. He says, we've demanded a tag match between Starks and Andretti against the sex gods next week, which is, of course, Jericho and Guevara, for those of you who don't know that they are the sex gods. Garcia says, well, yeah, I got a match against Andretti this Friday, though, and I won a piece of them in that tag match. So Sammy Guevara says, if you beat Andretti on Friday, you can have my spot. And man, I am so proud of you. This is what we've talked about. He's just like so happy that Garcia's come such a long way under his tutelage. He then gives him a new pair of leather pants, and Jericho checks them out to make sure they're leather. And then Jericho says, whether it's the sex gods or Garcico, Stark's lucky streak ends for good.
Yeah, I was like, I just love the fact that Garcia is getting coached by Sammy. It's so over the top ridiculous. And he's like, I'm so proud of you. This is exactly what I want. You're right.
Yeah.
If you beat him on Friday, you could have my spot. I was like,
Yep.
so stupid. It's so, and then the leather, I've got you new ring gear. It's like, is that leather? It's like, yes.
Leather pants.
Yeah, I know these guys, like, they're having fun. I'm enjoying it. Again, I'm not really sure what Garcia did. Like, it's such an odd storyline, but he's kind of like, he was being pushed to the moon and suddenly taking a back seat to everything. I'm not sure what happened there. But yeah, no, I thought this segment was funny. So yeah, I hope. Well, I'm curious now. Is Garcia going to win to have him team up with Jericho, or is it gonna be a loss? And then, because I don't think Andretti's losing to Garcia. I don't think so, right? And if that's the case, that means that we get to see Jericho and Sammy. Which, heck, I have. You know what? That's a match I want to see. I want to see them tag again, right? The last one time they tagged, like, Sammy was awesome. So
Yep.
yeah, I want to see who wins these matches. Either way, Garcia or Sammy. It'd be a
Yeah,
good
it'll be a
match.
great tag
Yeah.
team either way. Yeah, just so long as Starks and Andretti don't cut a promo before the match, we're completely fine.
I don't understand. I don't see why, like, so if Garcia wins,
Mhm.
does that mean that it's Jericho and Garcia, or is it Sammy and
No, Sammy's
uh
giving up his spot.
he's getting spot? That's what I thought.
Yeah, so it's
So
definitely
it's like,
Jericho. So
so
it's either,
I
remember what Jericho said. He goes, it's either the sex gods or
or Garcia
Garcia Co.
Co. Yeah, but I'm kind of curious why they just don't let Sammy and Garcia tag against the other two young guys, right? I mean,
Because Jericho's mad and he wants a piece of Starks.
that's true. Okay, that's true. That's very true. Yes.
Yes, and he's the
Okay.
leader, so he
Yeah.
gets to say
You
what the
can say
tag
what. Yeah.
teams are.
Fair
Yes,
enough.
of course. And then we get Bryan Danielson taking on Bandido in the second match of Bryan Danielson's I Gotta Win 5 matches to get at MJF and have a 60-minute Iron Man match with him. There's a big Bandido chant to start this, though, and there were a lot of Bandido chants during this. This guy was super over to this crowd. They shake hands to start it off, and they start with some really good grappling exchanges, including a great high stack leg lock by Danielson. There was a Romero special that Danielson escaped out of that Bandido had locked on to try his own, but Bandido couldn't be powered into it, so Danielson just stomped his knees. The match speeds up. There's a running exchange until Bandido locks in kind of a tied up forward crab. I don't know how else to describe this, but he had Danielson in a spot so he could actually try to pin him, but Danielson escapes out again. He lands a monkey flip on Bandido, but Bandido lands on his feet, wrapping Danielson in a submission hold that I think Excalibur called the No-Go Lagunero, but it's kind of like he locks him up in this weird like knot where he's pulling on his knees and shoulders at the same time. It looked painful, and I've never seen it before. Danielson then escaped to the outside, but Bandido hit a tope suicida and then follows immediately with a tope con hero. There's another Bandido chant at this point. Bandido's follow-up springboard eats a kick from Danielson, and Danielson slows the match down, doing a good bit of heel style here since like you could tell Danielson was like, the crowd reaction was really pro Bandido for quite a bit of this. Forearms, kicks, yes kicks, and a tree of woe, followed by a drop kick, and then he locks in a Romero special this time, which he then slides down into a pin for a 2 count. Bandido finally reverses Danielson with a roll up, then tosses him up in the air, driving him down on the mat. But this is just, that was Bandido's last gasp, and both are down. They get to their feet and exchange chops. Bandido gets the better of him with a thrust kick and a big spiral off the top rope. He then hits a huge delayed vertical. Like, he had Danielson on this weird angle for the longest time, and then just right at the last moment powers up into the high position and gets a 2 count on the suplex. Bandido then goes to the top, goes for a frog splash, but Danielson gets his knees up, locks on a label lock, screaming tap at Bandido. Danielson adds the other arm to the armbar as Bandido keeps reaching for the rope, but he eventually gets there with his legs. The crowd is behind Bandido solidly at this point. Danielson then hits the yes kicks, but Bandido catches the last kick and nails a torture rack version of the GTS. He sets Danielson up for the 21 plex, but Danielson lands on his feet and locks him up in a Mahastral for 2. Bandido responds with his own Mahastral, which I continue wanting to call the Izumi Sushi, for 2. There's a fight forever chant at this point. Danielson throws Bandido out of the ring on a run and then hits the slide through drop kick and then the apron running knee. But getting him back in the ring, Bandido catches Danielson as he climbs the turnbuckle and lands the avalanche rolling Samoan drop, and then a 21 plex for a huge near fall. Danielson then escapes a double underhook. They exchange forearms, slaps, kicks. Bandido goes for the brainbuster, but Danielson counters, going for the label lock, but Bandido powers up out of it. Danielson escapes and lands the Busaiku knee kind of out of nowhere for a 3 count. What did you think?
This match was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Like, I mean, you know, Bryan Danielson never has a bad match, and Bandido, like, this is the second time like I've seen the match against Jericho. Like, he's had other matches, but this is the second time I've seen him go out and have such a great showing. Like, his strength, and they kept mentioning that at the beginning. You know, you don't have to be, like Taz says, you don't have to be like 6'3", 270 pounds to be strong, right? Strength. So yeah, no, the back and forth with these guys were absolutely, absolutely fantastic. I didn't know where to put this match because I like, again, seriously love this match, right? But I also was fighting with the number 1 spot for another match as well, right? There were 2 matches, this and another one, and I was like, oh my god, which one do I give it to, right? Because I had already locked in like the Bucks at number 2, so I'm like, okay, so that means one of these 2 matches are gonna get the number 3 spot. And at the end of it, like, I do like really love this match, but I'm gonna give number 1 to another match. So this one is gonna slot into my number 3.
So you're telling me the Bucks and Top Flight to you was honestly better than this match?
I really enjoyed, but it's what kind of match do I like? What kind of matches do I like, right? I like spot filled matches. This match was really good. But you remember, like, when Danielson slows down the match, I did enjoy it still. I didn't hate it in any way. But I'm like, my God, you guys are going at such a blistering speed before, right? I go, okay, I see it. It slowed down, the chops and stuff like that. Great, great. But I am gonna give this my number three spot overall. But I can see arguments for it to be anything else. So what do you think?
4.5 stars match of the night. Easily.
Four and a half?
Easily. 4.5 match of the
All
night.
right.
Yep.
Okay.
Here's why.
Okay, let me hear.
First of all, Danielson read the crowd right out of the
Yeah,
gate.
he did.
And the minute he read the crowd, he started wrestling Bryan
Heel.
Danielson, heel guy. And it was great. And you're right. Of course, he slowed Bandido down. That was the story. Every
Yep.
time the match sped up, Bandido got the advantage. Every single time. Because he is like a luchador.
Yep.
You give him any
Lucha
kind of
Kings.
speed, and he's going to knock it out of the park. And if Danielson's wrestling a heel style, because at this point, Danielson is turning Bandido into a freaking star in this match.
Agreed.
So you don't want Danielson to come back with anything super flashy, super high flying, super fast, because those are face moves. All right. You didn't see him do the massive running drop kicks in the corner
No.
repeatedly or anything like that, or like his big fast moves. He got off the suicide dive, he got off the knee off the apron, right? Stuff like that. He got in his basic stuff. But I loved the submission psychology in this too. Him constantly going for the label lock, right? And then you had those innovative submissions from Bandido, right? They just looked insane that,
Yeah.
that Danielson had to fight
Those
out of, right? I loved the way that when Bandido was in the label lock and Danielson's just screaming tap at him, and the guy he can barely get his feet around. It was such a good struggle in that submission hold. And then when he does start to reach, Danielson pulls him up into like that double, like almost a Rings of Saturn variation. He's kind of back in the Fujiwara armbar combined with the other one. It was so good. So good. Right. Like I loved everything about this match. I loved watching these guys go at it. Like you kind of knew who the problem I had with all the matches tonight, except for
You
the
knew who's
Young
gonna
Bucks
win.
match, was that I
Yeah.
knew who was going to win ultimately.
Yeah.
Like Bandito's not going to suddenly surprise Danielson, and
Yeah.
Danielson's not going to the main event, right? And Darby Allin was not losing the
Yep.
TNT title tonight, So those were obvious victories, but I love how they got there. And I mean, the way they turned Bandito into this, like, yeah, he came in hot already. But
Yeah.
man, did he look good.
Yeah.
Danielson's done this 2 matches in a row now,
I
right?
know. That's
Konosuke
true.
Takeshita last week, and Takeshita is
Oof.
one of the like, best wrestlers on the planet.
Yep.
And then you got
Agreed.
Bandito, who might be one of the best all-around luchadors on the
Yep.
planet.
Yep.
And my God, 2 weeks in a row, two Bryan Danielson matches, and I'm just like, holy crap. And next
Well,
week we get Brian Cage.
I know. I know. I know that.
So,
I can't wait for that match
yeah,
actually
I know.
because
Like
yeah.
it's not, and that one will be a whole different psychology
Mm-hmm.
again, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this one was wrestled in a very, luchador versus a technical wrestler style. The one last week was like a real like New Japan style
Mm-hmm.
match almost, and then that next week, oh man, it's going to be big guy trying to smash small guy, but with
Small
lots of
guy.
cool moves. So yeah, this to me, this was just amazing, right? Amazing, and then the fact that Danielson basically had to get the surprise win with a sudden
Yeah.
move. Like there wasn't a build up, one guy obviously dominating the other. These guys were so evenly matched. Loved it. Very close though. Very hair that this was my match of the night. Right. Very
Interesting.
close. Yeah, I
Interesting.
really had to think about
Yep.
it. But anyway. So then unfortunately MJF appears on the screen. And he's on the video screen. And I'll tell you why I think he was on the video screen in a minute. But he goes, I'm feeling underappreciated. People claim I don't deserve my position. They've forgotten who the hell I am and how I became champion. And to think of all the moments I gave you people, fickle. Bryan, you've only dealt with masked Max. He likes to have fun, but the closer we get to the match, the more the mask slips, and you don't want that. You think you're a dragon, but a dragon is no match for the monster behind the mask. That was it.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Like sure, sure. The good news is you weren't there eating up like 7 minutes of time, right? So, yeah. All right. Whatever.
Yep. Do you think it was pre-taped? I'm pretty sure it was
Oh yeah. Oh
pre-taped.
yeah. 100%
Yeah.
pre-taped. Yeah.
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 Like that's that way they could edit him, get him to do exactly what they want. I don't know. I just was like, okay, so you guys have pre-taped him and tried to make him look tough again. Okay. So, you guys have heard the rumbles, and it's clear from his
Mhm.
promo too. He says, I've heard you guys, I've heard the fans. Yeah,
Yep.
because everyone's telling you how boring you are
Yeah.
now.
Everyone complains. Yeah.
This didn't help. Like I can't. Okay, so now you're gonna be mean heel. Okay, whatever, Max. Either way, I'm currently not entertained. This though I think is a little bit better than zany Madcap Max. So at least if he's gonna be like tough and evil, that's fine. I mean, maybe it'll be better. I'll give him a chance, but so far you're not over it. Hey, at least it's been weeks since he mentioned the bidding war of
Yeah,
2024.
that's very true. That
Hmm.
is very, very true.
Yeah, has not come up at all recently. Well, then we go in the back and we have Saraya, Storm, and Hikaru Shida. And we see Saraya scolding Hikaru Shida, asking what the heck was going on last week. What was that? Toni Storm, though, kind of stands up for Shida a little bit. She was trying to help. Storm says, though, that she's going to face Willow tonight and show why they are the best. But when she says they are the best, she seems to only be referring to Saraya and herself. And then Saraya tells Shida to stay in the back, and Shida's looking somewhat confused and not very happy.
Yeah. I don't
Any
know. Yeah, no, this entire situation just confuses me. And we'll get into
Mhm.
that
It
later.
didn't confuse me as much as it confused you because I think I see what's going on. So, but we'll talk about that when we get to that match. Um, MJF then pays off Brian Cage to break Danielson's arm, and MJF does this by slapping him and telling him to use his hate. And Brian Cage looks like he would like to kill
Kill
MJF.
him. Yeah.
Yes, but he took the money because Prince Nana told him to take the money. So he does. And that sets up the match we already talked about.
Hmm.
Then we get Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. They have a good exchange to start off. It ends in Willow landing a seated crossbody for a 1 count. Storm slaps Nightingale when she tries a handshake, though, and then hip attacks her out of the ring. And for me, that was kind of interesting, right? But I'll talk about that. Shida comes down the ramp with a kendo stick at this point as Storm whips Willow into the rail. Saraya gets mad at Shida, just tells her, you stay there or stay with me. And then Willow beats the 10 count getting back in. Storm continues the beatdown, forearm, foot chokes, a full Nelson targeting Willow's old neck injury. Willow finally powers out, throwing Storm into the turnbuckles and then a spine buster for 2. She hits a middle rope drop kick, but misses the cannonball in the corner. This allows Storm to nail the hip attack and then a DDT for 2. Willow reversed the follow up with a roll up for 2, then hit the pounce, tossing Storm into the corner and nails her with a cannonball for a near fall. Now, at this point, Saraya gets on the apron, which allows Storm to roll up Nightingale for the win because she's totally distracted by Saraya.
Yep.
Um, yeah. Then Saraya and Storm get in the ring and they both attack Willow Nightingale. And then Ruby Soho comes running down and makes the save. Well, Hikaru Shida just kind of stays back and clear of the whole situation, watching.
Yeah. So this is the match that I said I was very confused about. Like again, the match was good. It was good. It wasn't a bad match, right? It wasn't one of the women's best matches. I mean, like, let's be real here. I mean, but again, it's these two. I got kind of like as much as I expected out of them. Like Toni Storm didn't look too bad, but she did her 5 moves of doom throughout the entire thing. And hey, the match is short. It wasn't that long, right? A lot of stuff. Um, my assumption is, I guess they were turning Toni and Saraya into heels. Is that what they're doing? They're turning them into heels, and then and
Absolutely.
and, and Britt, but that would just make Britt and Jamie faces.
Congratulations, they figured it out.
And I get that makes sense, but just Britt face, I guess Britt as a face doesn't really. She doesn't have to be like nice. She can still be her exact same self, and she'll be cheered or booed or whatever you want to do. And I was like, great, sure. But even as faces, they seem like second tier compared to like a face, Britt and Hater, or a heel Britt and Hater. Just they seem like they want to be that level. Surya and Storm attacking Willow at the end, I was like, okay, sure, whatever. I'm like, I don't care for this. I really don't care for this
Yeah.
at all. Right. And
Yeah.
that's my problem. Like, I actually, when Ruby ran in, I was like, thank God, Ruby, get them the hell out of here. I'm so like,
Really?
I can't, yeah, I can't stand Surya or Toni Storm right now. And the whole throwing Sheeta into this, I'm like, Cheetah's better than this. We need to get her in doing something else because
Oh, she
she
will.
she either needs to join with Britt and Hater against like they remember they mentioned the AEW originals, right? Because that's what
Mm-hmm.
they were being
Mm-hmm.
accused of. I want them to do that. I want them to do the AEW originals versus, I guess, Sorry, sorry, and Storm. Like, well, I don't know who else it would be, right? Yeah, it's just it's. I'm gonna let it play out. I'm gonna let this storyline play out, right? I just, you know what, Saraya has just not hit with me since she got here. At first, I'm like, I'm gonna give her a chance. Since she stepped into the ring, I'm like, you're going like I don't know where you're going with it. And I see what they're trying to do. It's just not coming across very well. And I'll give it some time,
Mhm.
but I'm not holding my breath on this one.
I gotta disagree with you on this one, man. I
All
actually
right.
thought Saraya was the most interesting she's been in her entire run in AEW tonight.
Oh, well, that's not saying
I
much
didn't
though.
mind I didn't mind the promo that she had there at the beginning because I could see where they were going. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Okay, she's because I know heel Page from
Mhm.
WWE, right? And I saw the mannerisms. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's where you're going with this. The way she was treating Hikaru Shida, which, again, Shida, a fan favorite,
Mhm.
treating
Mhm.
her like crap. We're the best. We've come in to do this, right? Like she's clearly playing up now. That whole, yeah, well, of course I came from the outside and I'm better than all of you. You all suck. I'm amazing. All right. Great. And then the way she's like treating Sheeta like a
Mhm.
child at
Mhm.
ringside. And, I didn't necessarily love the end of the match, but I thought Toni
Mhm.
Storm wrestled probably better than she
Decent.
has in
Yeah,
quite a
she's
while.
decent.
Everything hit
Yeah.
solidly, right? Like I didn't look at anything and go, why are you just like fanning on this or something like that? Hip attack looked vicious, her strikes looked hard, and I liked her mannerisms with Willow. Like Willow's like, oh, handshake, and she just slaps her, and I'm like, ooh, I like this Toni Storm a lot more than I liked, goody two shoes Toni Storm. This kind of more vicious Toni Storm is hanging out with Saraya now, right? Like I don't mind this. This is okay. I kind of see where they're going with this. That's just fine. I mean, it was decent, and but I also thought it was telling a story. Of
Mm.
course, Ruby came out to save Willow.
Yeah, of
They're
course.
buddies,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I like the fact that Sheeta stayed out of it because why would Hikaru Sheeta rescue Willow?
yeah.
Like, what stake does she have in that? None. So she just stood back. She's like, fine. I came out here to ringside because you told me not to, and I'm coming out anyway. I put up with your crap for now and I'm just going to watch. And that's fine. I think she's a little confused because she doesn't quite understand yet why she's being treated the way she is by her partners. But at the same time, is she undermining them?
Mm-hmm.
I think that with this flip, though, I think this was really smart because Tony Khan read the room,
Oh yeah, of course,
right?
of course.
Okay, clearly Baker and Hader are the ones the crowd is cheering for. He
Yep.
can't get them to cheer for
For
Saraya.
sure. Yeah.
Saraya blew it when she cut that promo a while back when she was
Yeah.
going on about, oh, I wrestled in the Tokyo Dome even though she never has, and blah, blah, blah. I'm so amazing. And who the hell are you, Britt Baker? And Baker comes back and cuts that. Well, I'll tell you who I am promo. And the crowd was all like, okay, we're all behind Baker now. Right. So I think that did it right there. They cut those promos and they eventually, I think that the bookers have acknowledged they had to change course. They had no
Yeah.
choice,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
Jamie Hayter is getting cheered every time she's in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
She has incredible
Mm-hmm.
presence. She's an incredible wrestler. Britt Baker, heel or face, is over with
They
this
love her.
crowd every time she walks out. It doesn't matter. And she is Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, heel or face. John Moxley plays John Moxley, whether he's a
Yeah.
bad guy. Bryan Danielson plays Bryan Danielson, right? Slightly subtle mannerisms
Mm-hmm.
with the Young Bucks, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they can play their heel shtick, they can do the good guy stuff. It doesn't matter, right? The fans will love them regardless. We're in an era now where people just like to cheer their favorites.
Yeah. No, fair.
So,
That's fair enough.
and that's fine. You know who their favorites aren't right now? Saraya, right? And that's fine. And that's good because I think that a bad Saraya leading a group like this against a stable that we want to cheer for because we care about AEW and they're like fueling that passion with it, if they do it right, that's a good thing. So I am actually looking forward to where this is going. And that's why this was my number 4 match on the night,
Mm.
because I thought the stakes in it were interesting. I was intrigued by what they're doing with Hikaru Shida. I thought the right person came out to make the save. And I thought that Toni Storm wrestled, I'm going to give her props where she's due. She wrestled pretty damn competently tonight. So, that's
Yeah.
why.
No. No, definitely a course correct. And I said I'm willing to let it run its course. I want to see where it goes. But like overall, I thought that this was my number 6 out of 6. So again,
Yeah.
willing to give it let it run its course. Let's see what they do. Hopefully, it does play out
Yeah.
well. But we'll see, and that's the thing. We'll
Yeah.
see
It's kind
as
of
the
funny.
weeks
We have
pass.
this group of 4, 5, and 6 where,
Mhm.
they're all really close anyway, right?
Yeah,
Like my 4
exactly.
could have been like I thought about 4, 5, 5, 6. I mean, they you could interchange them pretty
Mhm.
much, right? And
Yeah,
the 1, 2, and 3, which are also, I mean, for me, the 3 was obvious to me. It was the
yeah,
1 and 2, but the 3 was
yeah.
definitely ahead of the 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
Same. The 1, 2, and 3 were ahead
Yeah,
of the other
exactly. And then we
ones.
have these 3 amazing matches, and then 3 that are good.
They're
I didn't
good.
hate any of
Yeah.
them. It's yeah. Anyway. We then get a promo video for Ethan Page versus Jungle Boy. Ethan says the fun is done. Ethan's going to get payback on Jungle Boy for tapping out Lee Moriarty.
Okay.
Great.
Cool.
Okay.
Great.
Takeshita's in the back with Renee. They recap his match last week and getting in MJF's face. And Renee says, "How do you feel after last week?" And Takeshita says, "I love wrestling Bryan Danielson. He's my hero. I'm now going to watch his back because I don't trust MJF." He then says something in Japanese to MJF. Renee asks him what he said, and he says, "I said MJF is an asshole."
And the crowd goes wild. The crowd
Yep.
absolutely just loves this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And again, look, doesn't have to speak a lot of English. He
No.
did fine with the little bit he did, and then he cut a fairly passionate chunk of Japanese.
Mhm.
I didn't care if I could understand him.
Yeah.
He was clearly into it.
Hmm.
Yep. Would I like to understand him? Yes. And this is why I'm starting to learn Japanese. But anyway, we then get the TNT Championship match, which by default, we already know is Krishna's
It's
match
my
of the
imagine
night.
that. Yeah.
So Kushida comes out, and okay, I marked when he came out because I'm like, oh my god, that's Kevin Knight and DKC, and then they announce it's Kevin Knight and DKC. I'm like, cool, I love Kevin Knight, he's so good. Anyway, so he comes out with Kevin Knight and DKC from the LA dojo, and I was very happy. I was cheering for Kushida in this whole match. Darby comes out with Sting. Just as a point of interest, how old do you think Kushida is? Long pause as he thinks
Well,
about.
I mean I can't claim that I knew this before because I looked it up during the match, so I know
Oh,
exactly how
okay.
old Kushida
Yeah,
is. He's
so
39 years
yeah,
old.
he is 39. He is 39, correct. But he looked it up. Krishna cheated.
I didn't know I was gonna be asked a question, so I looked it up.
Oh, anyway, they go back and forth at the beginning a lot. Counters, trading holds. It's very fast. Kushida nails an arm drag drop kick combo, and but when he goes to the outside, Darby throws him into a barricade. But when Darby gets back in the ring, Kushida drills a kick into Darby's arm, and this starts
Mhm.
part of the story of the match, which is just Kushida targeting the heck out of Darby Allin's arm. He does he puts a hammer lock on him on the floor and like locks him up in his feet and twists the hold on him. Darby counters the follow-up though, hitting a coffin splash and a code red. He then wipes out the LA dojo with a cannonball from the top rope, but this allows Kushida to drill Darby with a running armbar to the floor that just looked nasty as heck. He tosses Darby back in the ring, nailing chops and a vicious shote, which is a palm strike, in the middle, and then another shote in the corner for two. He locks in a hammerlock Fujiwara armbar, stepping through it at one point, then dropping back. I mean, it just looked insane how he locked this hold on. Darby reaches the rope, but then Kushida nails him with a low drop kick and returns to working the arm. Darby finally gets back to his feet and they exchange chops and forearms. Darby shows some solid fighting spirit at this point and unloads forearms on Kushida, but Kushida hits a Pele kick. But then Darby counters with a follow up springboard into a Scorpion Death Drop, which finished his match on Friday, the announcers point
Mhm.
out, but both of them are down. He's too wiped out. They both get to their feet. Kushida follows Darby into the ropes with this crazy headstand kick, sending Darby out of the ring. He then nails an apron running knee drop to Darby's shoulder. They battle on the apron. Darby lands a stunner, but Darby hits the apron just as hard. They both roll to the floor. Darby gets a chair and batters Kushida into the chair. He then climbs up to the top, but Kushida counters, catching him in an armbar on his way down onto the floor and wrenching it as the 10
Mhm.
count starts. Darby manages to beat the count, but Kushida puts a key lock on Darby on the turnbuckle and throws him off. He then goes for the hoverboard lock, but Darby manages to clasp his arm. The LA Dojo guys give Sting a towel to throw in at this point, but Sting just blows his nose in it and tosses it in the crowd. Darby tries to reach the ropes, but Kushida pulls him back and goes to lock in the hoverboard lock again. But this time, Darby blocks the attempt and manages to lock the Last Supper on Kushida, getting the 3 count. They do have a handshake in the ring after the match, and I love the fact when Kushida goes to raise his arm, and it was the bad arm, and Darby's
Yep.
like, no, no, no,
No.
not this arm, and he
Yeah.
raises that because Darby's like, you can't touch that arm.
Yeah. Darby's
Anyway,
like, dude, really? That arm?
yeah.
No, this was like, again, this is my match of the night. I thought like this is the first time I ever saw Kushida wrestle because
Mhm.
I never watched NXT or any of that stuff to see
Well, no, you wouldn't have seen this Kushida in NXT. Trust me, I
oh,
saw him in NXT. This was not the Kushida
oh,
you
okay,
got in NXT.
because like yeah, he was very very impressive and very impressive against Darby Allin. I think the one thing that stuck out to me was like when they were wrestling, I was like, wow, I didn't realize Darby Allin was actually a pretty good wrestler. And then
Mhm.
they mentioned, oh, by the way, Darby Allin has an amateur background in wrestling. I'm like, oh, of course he does. I'm
Yeah.
like that makes a lot of sense, right? But he showed it tonight, like some of the moves he was pulling off on Kushida, and I don't know if it was Kushida selling or whatever, but they worked very very well together. Not sure if they wrestled before, but they looked like they did.
Not to my knowledge.
Right? So they like Darby again throws him like that. It was a very weird angle. They caught that shot where he caught Darby off of the top rope. I was like, this was the angle you guys chose as
I know.
I'm like, really, guys? All right, whatever. But no, you see Kushida like when he was wrenching his arm back, like his I guess Darby Allin, because he's so flexible, it makes it look like his arm is actually dislocated. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, that drop from the top rope where he had him in the arm thing, he kind of just flipped him back. I was like, ouch, ouch. And Darby selling everything. Darby remembering he had a hurt arm. He's not like suddenly popping back up.
Mhm.
Like when he pinned him, he was grabbing his arm because he could barely hold on. I was like, wow, Darby, that's such a good man. This is why Darby Allin's such a good TNT champion because people can cheer for him. Doesn't matter who he actually wrestles. He
Mhm.
actually like sells and he sells well. And again, Kushida at the end, like asking for one more match. I'm like, yo, you're pretty awesome. Like, holy crap, you're really, really good. I was just so impressed with Kushida. I was like, I got to give this match the match of the night. They're these two guys just so well together, work so well together. So yeah, no, I really, really enjoy this match.
Shall we rewind back to where I said by the end of this match you'd be telling me how great Kushida is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did say that. I was very, very much impressed. I didn't
Mhm.
like I was like, wow, this guy's really good.
Yeah, no,
So yeah.
this match was great. I mean, it was
Mhm.
great. I'd probably give it like somewhere between 4.25 and 4.5. I mean, it's just it was outstanding. The
Yeah.
selling, everything was spot on. You know, the story in the match, right? Kushida's just targeting the hell out of that arm,
Hmm.
working it over. Darby selling like a champ of the whole match, right? Like modifying his moves. I mean, his own grappling game. We got to see that
Yep.
side of Darby
Hmm.
we don't get to see very often, right? I mean, after bouncing around for Samoa Joe and that kind of stuff, and now this week we get him against Kushida, and it's just like it's outstanding
Yep.
wrestling, right? Like
Yep.
this was a phenomenal wrestling match. I enjoyed this
Agreed.
a lot. Yeah, Kushida is just next level. You can see him on New Japan World anytime you want, you know.
That's true. That's true. No, he's so good. He's
yep.
so good.
Yeah, no, I mean, and he's part of their you know their junior heavyweight division, and my God, those guys have good matches. So anyway, and they did mention some of the people that he's beaten in his career as well, including one Kenny Omega.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
in fact, beating Kenny Omega for the junior heavyweight title. So
Okay.
there you go. Anyway, yeah, no, I absolutely love this match. This is the kind of wrestling I absolutely love. I got two of my kind of wrestling matches tonight, and it was just wow. Thank you very much, AEW. I highly appreciate that. Um, more Kushida, please. Can
Yes,
we make sure
I
that
agree.
when we do Forbidden Door next time, that Kushida is booked on the show? That would be great.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks that he obviously he was injured for the Tokyo Dome
Hmm.
show, right? So now that I'm kind of wondering, I'm like, even though Master Wato was so awesome in that match, I'm like, wow, what could that match have been with Kushida in it?
Mm-hmm.
Holy.
No, I know. Well, maybe he'll challenge Hiromu Takahashi for the belt. We'll get a good singles match between Kushida and Takahashi because that would be a
Oh,
very
fair
good
enough.
match.
Fair enough. That
I
makes
mean, he's
sense.
already beaten him before, so it's not like they haven't fought before, but it'd be
Yeah,
good
and
to see it
I
again.
think Kenny Omega should have a rematch with him now as well, because he did beat Kenny Omega.
That's true. I
But
wouldn't mind seeing Kenny Omega
yeah,
versus Kushida. That'd be pretty. I'd like to see Kushida against almost any of these
yeah,
guys.
seriously. Like, but knowing AEW, they probably put it on Dark. Yeah, let's
I
have
know,
Kenny
right?
Omega wrestle on Dark,
Yeah, let's
and
treat
then let's
Kushida like WWE did. Basically, make him nothing the entire time he's
yeah.
there. Like the matches that he actually had to wrestle in WWE were nothing like this. Nothing like this. You got none of this like serious arms, right? They were good
Mhm,
matches. They didn't suck
mhm,
or anything, but this is next level Kushida. This is New
yeah.
Japan Kushida. So it was pretty great. So anything on this show tonight that you would call Omega level?
I mean, if I'm objectively looking at this stuff, taking my fandom away, um, I would say that, like the last match and the Danielson match for what they are were on the Omega level. Both of them. I thought they brought something fresh, something new. Um, uh, all those guys were just phenomenal in the ring, right? Like all of them. Like Darby Allin. Like again, as much as I was impressed with Kushida, I've never seen Darby Allin wrestle like that ever. Unless I'm mistaken, I've never seen Darby Allin do a lot of that type of wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I was very much impressed with that. And going back to Danielson, like I'm not surprised with Danielson, but you're right. Bandido was made into a bigger star than he already was, thanks to Bryan Danielson, right?
Yes.
So I would put both those matches on the Omega level. I would say both of them actually deserve that title because for Danielson and Magneto for what that match did for Bandido, and then wow, the Kushida and Allen match was just I was just so surprised. Like
Mm-hmm.
what I was seeing, I was like, these guys are just so good. So yeah, I put them both there.
I'm confused, Krishna, because I agree with you. I would put both those matches there too. But how can your number three match be an Omega level match, but your number two match
Well,
is
I
not?
mean, I mean, I'm giving it base. I said I'm looking at this objectively, taking my fandom out of it, right? I said
Oh,
that,
so
right?
you're saying the Bucks got the number two slot sheerly due to your
Because they're the
fandom?
elite. Like that's like me.
Oh,
Can
okay.
you imagine if Kenny Omega was on this card? Could you imagine if Kenny Omega was on this card? I'd be like, okay, guys. So every match is number 6, and Kenny Omega is number 1 to 5, right? Right. So I'm just saying, objectively speaking, yes. As much listen, I could easily put. I could say on any given week that Bucks and Top Flight match was Omega level, right? But I'm so used to their matches now that I told you I was very much impressed with Top Flight in that match because they're just so awesome. But
Mhm.
but when I watched the Bucks and Top Flight this week, I was like, yeah, this it's amazing, but nothing in it was like blowing my mind because if that was the first match I'd watch like Bucks ever, I'd be like, this is the
Mhm.
best thing I've ever seen in my life, right? But I know, as you said, I know what the Bucks can do. I know what Top Flight can do, right? So I
Yeah.
maybe that's us with just our expectations are just so high now. But like
Well,
those
no, I
other
mean,
two surprised me,
you're
right?
you're you're learning for a match to go to the next level. It can't just be, oh my God, these guys had some fun in the ring.
Yeah.
It needs a
Yeah.
story. It needs something different. It needs
Yeah.
something next level, right? I mean, that's why that's a solid 4-star match,
Mhm.
right? Great. Good job, guys. High fives all around. I was highly entertained for the time you were in the ring. You know, that's a 4-star match. And that's great wrestling, but it doesn't take that step
Extra
that
step.
puts it, yeah, that extra step that puts, I mean, there was no Meltzer driver, so you can't have 5 stars.
No, but as I said again, like Bandito, what they did from Bandito
Mm-hmm.
really impressed me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then the last match itself, and just in general, that I love that entire match of what it was doing
Yeah.
for both those guys. So
Yeah.
that's why I was like, okay, these that it's just they're so. It
Yep.
was a very 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 good show
Mm-hmm.
today.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird because some like there was a lot of like there's such a it was really great matches, and then good matches as you said earlier with
Mm-hmm.
some craziness happening in between them. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah, there was a little
whatever.
bit of there's a little too much sports
What's
entertainment-y stuff on
entertainment?
this for me to give the entire show an
Yeah.
Omega level rating, but
If I'm
really good
Jericho, I'm like,
dynamite.
guys, why are we doing so much sports entertainment? We're the sports
Mhm.
entertainers here. You guys are the wrestlers. Let's keep
Yes.
it that way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just let the Jericho Appreciation Society do the sports entertaining, and then like everyone else can stop,
Yeah.
especially the Guns
Oh
and the
my
Acclaim,
god.
because
Why
that's
aren't they
not
on
good.
Dark or Elevation or
I don't
Rampage?
know.
Just
Well,
stay on Rampage or
because
something.
because everybody loves the Acclaimed except me. So yeah, and I'm gonna allow Ariana and Eliana to love the Acclaim by giving them my
The
sticker
stickers,
pack. So yes, because they will love the Acclaimed stickers.
they will love the
Yep.
Clem stickers. Yeah, you're right.
Any parting thoughts for us?
No, I think just I'm just very curious what's happening with Hangman because that can lead into some really big storylines. And I just want more Kushida and Bandido on TV. Like I think they're well, obviously Kushida is New Japan, so I mean that's where he's gonna be. But Bandido signed with us, and he should be on TV more often, just like Roosh and stuff like that.
Yes,
So yeah,
exactly. And if you want to see the LA Dojo guys, you can see them on New Japan Strong. And if you want to see Kushida, you can see him in New Japan.
NJPW, that's right.
That's correct. But on that note, we must say goodbye for the night. And as the great one, who sadly was not on the show tonight, always says, goodbye, everybody. Mwah! And good night. Bang.
Night, everyone.